The joint program on gender equality and women's empowerment basically started in 2009, but for a whole year there was a process in terms of developing the program itself and getting the buy-in of the UN system and also the government of Kenya.
I think the government has appreciated this particular joint program more than the way we were working before. You know, I go as UNESCO, UNICEF goes, UNDP goes, and at the end of the day we are doing the same thing, more or less.
The concept of a joint program wasn't exercised in the past, so it was a new initiative, but it was a collective decision that the UNCT, the UN country team decided. So, because UN Women, and at that time it was UNIFEM, was leading on issues of gender equality and women's empowerment in the UN system, then we coordinated the process to make sure that we could generate a joint program. The program, the way it is outlined, it has 5 key result areas. At country level, in the past UN Development Assistance Framework, we said, you know what, there are certain areas or thematic areas or issues or sectors that are cross-cutting or that address issues in more than one agency.
The challenges encountered when carrying out the joint JPJW program was sometimes some agencies lagging behind or not coming for meetings.
Coordination is a challenge, and also we had to have a real understanding of who was doing what in the UN system when it came to gender equality and women's empowerment. So of course the first task was really more of a mapping exercise to just understand who is doing what where.
Coming now on board sometimes brought some challenges, and this was addressed just by making sure that information was shared, awareness raising, and having conversations from the beginning, from the design of the program.
The challenge I've seen from my own perspective, of course, is the resources. They're limited in such a way that then we are not able to make the impact that you would have loved to.
Well, Kenya became Delivering as One country quite recently, actually, and joint programs are a key pillar of the foundation of delivering as one in any country. And within that context, of course, we've had the very first program here in Kenya on the gender empowerment and equality.
The whole Delivering as One is aimed at bringing coherence in UN development assistance and build on the comparative advantages and the strength of each agencies to make an impactful and meaningful development assistance in the countries where we work in.
Everybody knows the joint program on GB. It's known, it's visible. It has positioned gender within the development agenda in Kenya.
I must say that it's been exciting for me to work under that umbrella. More so because it's been providing a platform for knowledge sharing, and as a result of that knowledge sharing, then we could easily compare our strengths in various areas of entrepreneurship.
It's been much easier to join efforts in terms of financial resources. You are able to leverage on resources and perhaps spend less in terms of organizing for trainings, organizing meetings.
It has worked very well, I have to say. There's better coordination amongst us here within the UN in terms of who's doing what.
Now we can come together around the table as various UN agencies in a more coherent manner and address, our issues.
For me, the main lesson I've learned working in the joint program on gender equality and women empowerment mainly has been the synergy, working together as different agencies towards a common goal.
When you do a joint program, you don't just have always to have your way. You can accommodate others and sometimes let go and become more rational and leverage on resources.
Coordination is critical because one-off projects are not sustainable. They also create fatigue for the beneficiary, if it's the government, if it's the citizen.
With political will, we can be able to get the resources, we can be able to implement the program and be able to get everybody on board.
I'm very happy to say that the Gender Directorate within the Ministry of Devolution and Planning has shown a very clear leadership in coordinating all efforts around GV advancement in Kenya.
I'm very, very optimistic that the government in place today is very committed to taking this joint program to the next level, involving just not the partners, the international development partners, but involving the national government, the county government, the communities, the various stakeholders to ensuring that Kenya actually realizes gender equality and women's empowerment for its entire population today.
It has been one of the strongest joint programs, an indication of what we can achieve if we work as one.
The end of the joint program is really a beginning of another.
The underlying theory of change that is driving the UN's future programming is driven by three elements. One is the need to create an enabling legal and policy environment in which gender equality and women's empowerment is possible. The second is about social transformation, changing our mindsets as Kenyan men and women. The third, and just as important, is the idea of women have agency, that women can speak out about their needs and they can advocate for themselves.
In our UNDAF, which is 2014-2018, our focus is mainly on implementation of these legal instruments and also the policies that have been established in this country.
There is need to advocate for funding by government and even the other players.
The future of women's empowerment is bright if there is a joint approach.
In terms of the coordination, in terms of the UN being more united around issues of gender equality and women's empowerment is something that we are really building on, and now having the opportunity to come up with very focused interventions where we can call upon the various agencies who have, the similar mandates and attention to those issues, and be able to really craft a very strong and powerful program that will then also be along lines of the UNDAF, but also the medium-term plan of the government of Kenya and the Vision 2030 as a whole.